Today I'm going to talk about a book recommendation that changed the way that I paint. I'm going to go through the major concepts in this book that made the biggest difference for me. Here is a look at the book Painting Light and Shadow and Watercolor by Skip Lawrence. Right away in chapter 1, we talk about seeing shapes, not things. You may have heard me many times before talking about finding the big shape of the scene. That's a lot of what this book talks about. And seeing it here visually, finding the connections between different areas of the painting and explaining how to do it, how to see that, is what made the most difference in my painting. An important concept of painting the shape of the light and the shape of the shade. So if you think just in terms of light and shade, that can really simplify your approach. You have people, you have some rocks, you have houses, but if you think of them just as shapes, you could start to see them completely different. One thing I love in his subject matter is his figures. He had 2 kids. I have 2 kids. You see his kids a lot in his paintings, and I think that's great. By really focusing on the light and the dark, you can get a very powerful image when you simplify in that way. Seeing this big connected shape and just thinking about that large connection of value and shape and how it defines this figure is a wonderful way to start thinking and start painting. The key here is that it's explaining to you how to start to see your painting more abstractly and think about things like design and color, and also to take charge of your painting, because many times we think that we need to render the scene the way that it appears in front of us, but there are a lot of options and ways to move things around, to compose things and make a stronger image, to capture the essence of the scene and do it in a very compelling way. And that is really what the heart of this book is all about. Then he talks about value organization. He has different approaches to taking on the same scene with different value expressions. Check out this quote. This quote is really helpful. When painting the focal point, look at the focal point. When painting everything else, continue to look at the focal point. Again, that helps us really latch on to what the big idea of the painting is and really hone that in and not get distracted by all the other parts of the painting that aren't as important. I love the contrast, the light effect, the simplicity of the figures, and how powerful of a painting this can be when you're really suggesting rather than spelling everything out for the audience. He waits to do his strongest value. He saves them for right behind the fisherman's shoulder here. That difference in value, that really bright area on his shoulder and the really dark area behind him, creates a very clear focus of the painting. Another intriguing part of this book is talking about shape making. Often we look at what's in front of us and we try to render it out in an accurate way, but we forget that a big part of painting is creating shapes, creating interesting shapes with our brush. And we don't want to lose sight of that. And this book points out the importance of doing this, and it also talks about shape making in a way that I hadn't thought of before, and how different shapes make us feel different ways. We think so literally about what we are trying to paint that we can lose sight of the fact that we are creators of shapes. He talks about how expressive shapes can be and how we can make our shapes more expressive. This is such a good example of connectivity. Again, just seeing the big picture, seeing the shapes, letting colors flow from one to the other, and understanding that it's the shape that really makes up the painting. That's the whole point, and you become a designer of a good shape rather than just being stuck thinking literally about what the things are. What all of these different points seem to be driving at is creating unity in your scene. And when we can see what makes the painting valuable as a whole, we become better artists. When we get less interested and less focused on the little things that divide our painting around the scene, we can become more clear on what it is that unifies this scene. And if we can do that, we start to create much more interesting and powerful paintings. What an awesome way to approach the scene, where you're really thinking about all the middle values that connect these shapes, rather than just thinking about each little individual person and painting it in a very disconnected way, this approach really helps you create a unified shape, which is the magic of all of this.
I have found this book so helpful in learning to see that big shape, learning to paint in a connected way, and learning to find unity in my paintings. Well, if you are ready to take the next big step forward in your painting, I have a free video lesson for you. The 7 Secrets of Fresh and Powerful Painting. Now in this video lesson, I talk about how to plan your painting, how to mindfully paint your scene, and most importantly, when to put down the brush before you overwork your painting. Once you sign up for this video lesson, I send you 2 additional things. My pre-painting checklist. You can look at this before each painting to ensure that you are thinking through these important ideas right from the start. I also include my watercolor supplies guide. So if you have any questions about brushes, about paper, take a look at my watercolor supplies guide. So if you're ready to take that next step in your painting, all you have to do is click on this link here to get my free video lesson, 7 Secrets of Fresh and Powerful Painting. I'll see you there.